Well, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's time now for the week that was. Let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. And we're going to start with the increase in the pump price of petrol from 617 naira to 897 naira per litre by NNPC Limited on Tuesday, as it is beginning to take an impact on the cost of goods and transportation here in Nigeria. For many Nigerians, this price hike has added to economic pressures they face with no end in sight. Now, Arise correspondent Frank Omalakpe takes a look at the immediate impact of the hike on Abuja residents and how traders are already adjusting prices to reflect their new realities.
Please help us to inform the government to do something, because an hungry person is an angry person.
Not even words can describe the pain and frustration of these traders who are reeling from the increase in the pump price. On Tuesday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited increased the pump price of petrol from 617 naira to 897 naira per litre, a sharp rise that has led to public reaction and discontent among Nigerians. Abuja, the capital city, has not been spared from the economic strain this hike has imposed on the populace. Many feel that the increase is a heavy burden, especially at a time when the country is grappling with economic challenges, including the high cost of living, currency devaluation, and slower economic growth.
Before, I used to fuel my tank, at the rate of 35,000. But now, even I bought fuel of 45,000. The tank will not be filled up. So it is very, very bad situations which the indigent of Nigeria we are facing now.
We are so confused because if you buy the fuel doesn't last longer, it will burn away. And to get money to even fill again is difficult.
Transportation, a key sector in the city's economy, has been one of the hardest hit by the petrol price increase. Public transportation costs have surged, with fares from buses and taxis rising by nearly 50% in some cases. This increase has strained the budget of daily commuters, many of whom are low-income earners. While the situation is critical for private car owners, commuters are forced to bear the brunt of the increased expenses, which have become unavoidable in a city where public transport options are limited.
For me, transport that I pay to come here, I do pay like 800, but today I pay out to 2,000 naira to come to this market.
Before, the place where we go buy market come, would take us like 500 naira for transport, but now when they go tell you say it's 1.5. In fact, that before you go farm, go buy this tomato, come to the market. So the transport, if you carry the one basket of tomato, that big one, 1,000 now you must pay 3,000 naira.
The increase in pump price has also triggered changes in the prices of food items across major markets here in the federal capital. Traders at Wuse, Gariki markets and environs are already adjusting their prices upwards to reflect the cost of transporting goods. Basic food items such as rice, yams, and cooking oil, including perishable goods such as tomatoes and other items, have seen price increase ranging from 20 to 50%. Madam Fasholatu is a wheat seller at the Gariki market. She shared her experience with Arise News.
Manual market, because the thing too cost 3,500 for one model for Amala. 3,500. I bet no be only Tinubu. People are there together for Tinubu. I bet me beggar for us. Me I no gas band you. Nobody they give me because I no feel worry pikin today tomorrow. Now I beg me beg Tinubu. Since Tinubu enter, while I fear too much.
The situation has been particular there for low-income families who spend a larger proportion of their income on food. This inflationary trend has made it increasingly difficult for residents, forcing many to cut down on their consumption or switch to cheaper or less nutritious alternatives.
Within these few days that they have increased fuel, things in the market have skyrocketed. It has gone so high that we could not afford anything in the market again. For example, Before this fuel increase, we were buying garri, a bag of garri, for 50,000. Now, as I enter this market now, they say it's 75,000 now. And when you ask, they will tell you it's because of fuel increase. Yam, 5 pieces, only 5 tubers of yam. We were buying 5 tubers of yam at the rate of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Now they are selling me it's 13,000.
Government promised us that they will sell rice to Nigerians, 50 kg, 40,000 naira. As we speak, we have not seen anything. Who are they deceiving? They are deceiving Nigerians. I know things can be done better than what is happening now.
As Nigerians continue to grapple with rising cost in the wake of the petrol price hike, the ripple effects are being felt across every corner of the city. The question on everyone's mind is how much longer can this continue? But for now, Nigerians are bracing themselves for more tough times ahead with a hope for a better tomorrow. And from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Frank Komalape, Arise News.
Well, I would have hoped that we would be welcoming Mr. Steve back with some good news, but it seems we're welcoming you back. You know, you left, I left, we came back, and there's still fuel queues. So even worse. So beyond the fact that we are still dealing with scarcity, with traffic, with daily inconvenience, the prices have now increased, and the pressure is on food. It's on our daily lives, and this is what we talk about when we talk about the need for people-friendly policies, when we talk about the need for government to actually care. You know, I saw this statement that came out about President Tinubu giving rice as a was it a sign of his goodwill or something absolutely abhorrent. It's actually an appalling message for the president to put out at such a dire time when people are hungry, people cannot afford their medication, children are going back to school, and there's scarcity. The level of hardship right now is taking an emotional toll on most Nigerians, on the average Nigerians. And the worst is that those at risk of sliding into poverty, the numbers are increasing every day by the thousands. And it seems that, first of all, this just seems to be the beginning, because the price is still going to go up, and the NNPC is not able to commit to what the price is going to be. Dangote Refinery is not able to commit, come out and tell us what is the price going to be. And I'm sure we'll still talk about that later. But when we talk about the hardship that Nigerians are facing right now, it is overwhelming.
Definitely. And you speak about an emotional toll. I have to say, on Wednesday, it was quite an interesting day. My car actually, parked up in traffic because there was no fuel in my car anymore. I had a burst tire. I literally at one point just parked and started crying, like literally. Wow. That's how bad it is. And I can imagine if, for someone like me that can still come to work today, what it must be like for people that are trying to make ends meet. I spoke to, a man, just like a random man at the petrol station, who you could just tell that he was discouraged, and he was like, he's not even thinking about this. He's thinking about his 3 children that are going to resume school this Monday. It's too much. You listen to that VT, the prices are going up. We're looking at a 50% increase just like that. And we know that in Nigeria, anything that goes up rarely comes down. And there was this kind of, when the announcement was made about Dangote refineries, a lot of people were happy, like, oh my goodness, finally, maybe this can actually affect petrol pricing. But unfortunately, that might not be the case. I was reading an article yesterday that actually spoke about the production cost, being dominated in US dollars, and the fact that only 40% of his crude oil actually comes from Nigeria. He still has to import 60% of it. So it's also really good quality. I mean, you must have seen, the announcement. He was holding that bottle. A lot of people were first wondering if it was water, but no. What actually it is that the quality of the PMS is actually very good. So
we need to see the data on the quality, because
based on the data that has actually been
because the numbers he said before
okay. The point that I'm trying to make is that even with that, it's still looking as if petrol pricing is still going to go up, and we're looking at about as high as 1,200 in certain areas in the country. So I don't know. This government, it just seems as if we're going from the frying pan to fire. Things are not getting better. It's taking an emotional toll, a mental toll, and a financial toll on Nigerians. I don't know, man. It's really difficult to comprehend.
I feel your frustration, Cheto. I'm sorry about what happened on Wednesday. Basically, practically everybody, is going through the same thing, and you are very, correct, both of you. Sometimes it's just overwhelming that you have to deal with this type of a thing, and then listening to the president saying that he has to take some tough decisions. I mean, who among them was it? Michelle Obama whose book is taking tough decisions or something like that. I know what tough decisions mean, but tough decisions have to take into cognizance how your people can absorb it. Where's the shock absorber for the people? When people make arguments about the crude oil or petrol being an international product, is it international people that are buying it here? Are people who will consume it from this territory, are they being paid in international price? Because all these things, these are the kind of things that we've been hearing from the days of the military when they were telling us about the appropriate pricing of fuel. What about appropriate pricing? What about appropriate earnings for workers in Nigeria, for people, for masses? So when a leader says, I'm taking tough decisions, don't take a tough decision in isolation. Consider everything. Are you earning as a journalist, as a police officer, as a soldier in Nigeria? Maybe not as a judicial officer who has suddenly had a 300% increase when generality of the people, are getting, about 100. What are you earning? What is the possibility that you'll be able to deal, with the shock that all this will create? And I think that it boils down to a bit of insincerity on the part of those who are leading us. The argument definitely must continue. Can Nigerians in totality deal with the shocks that will follow all this? Shaitan says that it will get to 1,002 or 1,003 because we are dealing with the cost of bringing in the landing cost. But then the whole point of why we need to fix the refineries and to allow the Dangote refinery to work seamlessly is to eliminate the whole idea of importing.
But the thing about Dangote refinery is that he did build it in a free trade zone, and he did do that intentionally. We are still importing, technically, from Dangote refinery.
It is to explain that.
Illegally, it's an import. We'll understand, yes.
Okay, all right, we'll see. But at least make the further refineries work so that people can have options.
Yes.
So if you say that you are built in a free trade zone, what will be the benefit, therefore, for those who are praying for Dangote to succeed, for those who are saying, okay, there's a ray of hope, after all, but then you now turn around and say, it all comes down to the exchange rate, to the dollar. I'm not so sure that will be the right way to go. But again, let's wait till 15th of September. Dangote says it's ready, but NNPC has always said that, no, this is not the memo that we got. We'll be dealing with 15th of September. We will wait. Hopefully, not many Nigerians will have passed on as a result of these very tough, harsh realities that we are dealing with.
Definitely tough times.
Let's see what goes.
Well, let's move on very quickly now to our next story. Elder statesman Edwin Clark wants the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and immediate past governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, to be arrested and be made to face trial for threatening to set fire on states which he accuses of interfering in the affairs of Rivers State. Arise correspondent Friday Oloko reports.
Elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark, a 97-year-old nationalist, has called on the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to arrest the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to face treason charges. He was reacting to the threat by Wike to set on fire the states that interfere in the affairs of Rivers State. In a letter to Egbetokun, he called on President Bola Tinubu not to allow his personal relationship with Wike to jeopardize national interest.
I hear there are some governors who say they will take away the structure and give back to somebody. I pity those governors Because I'll put fire in their state. God has given you peace. You say no one peace.
Clark found that statement objectionable, saying Wike's threats not only pose a danger to public peace, but also amounts to incitement. He cited several legal provisions, including the Public Officer Protection Act and the Violence Against Persons Protection Act, to justify the reason why the minister should face trial for treason.
I've done my homework. There are various laws of this country. I've even got some senior lawyers to help me, who have now discovered that Wike has breached a number of Nigerian laws, public laws, and so on. He has committed crime. And for him to call on, to say that he will burn states belonging to PDP governors and so on, it's treasonable. It's treasonable. Cannot breach the Constitution of Nigeria because Section 1 of the Constitution is very clear on that. Every decision of the Constitution binds everybody, every authority, including Mr. President. But for him today to run a blind eye and allow one of his ministers to make a mess of this country, today, ministers that have been automatically removed by the Constitution by moving to APC are still parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly, with the Speaker acting, harassing the governor, taking him to all sorts of courts.
Clark called on PDP leaders and Nigerians who value justice and peace to stand united against Wike's inordinate ambition to control the political structure of Rivers State.
Calling on the police, Inspector General of Police, to investigate. Nobody is above the law. Otherwise, Nigeria will soon be facing additional trouble. The youths of those 13 states are not going to keep quiet and allow Wike to burn their states. And then once again, I'm calling all the people who says that Fubara is the leader of PDP in Rivers State.
As the political crisis in the PDP deepens, observers believe that the party, which held sway for 16 years, should put its house in order, since a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Okay, Wike is in the news again, and you see, this thing we keep talking about it. I think it was a couple of weeks ago we had someone from the PDP, and I asked him directly. I said, what consequences? Like, he's gone ahead to do all of these things, but it seems as if he's getting away with it, which is the reason why he would feel comfortable enough to go into a room that, knowing fully well that the whole nation is listening, and threatening fire to states. When the end bad governance protests were happening, or in fact, even right now, there are some of the end bad protests protesters who are actually being prosecuted right now for disturbing the peace. When Sowore called for revolution now during the 2023 elections, what's the word now? They said he was being treasonous. Now we have a sitting minister that is saying that he is going to set fire to states. Honestly, I see this as just flagrant disrespect to the people of Nigeria and to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in himself. And I agree with Mr. Chief Edwin Clark there, where I say that consequences need to come with certain actions. You cannot be in a position of power and just use it anyhow. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you say something like that? I just look at this video and I get riled up, because Wike has been getting away with too much in this country.
Well, I mean, the allegory of sending fire to their state is something that should be understood from the political context in which Wike was speaking. And therefore, when people, are now commenting about it, it's not as if he's going to go and throw bombs and set fire on it. I'm coming. I'm coming. It doesn't make it right. And I totally support the elder statesman, Edwin Clark, to say that this is treasonable. This is a threat, whether it is actual fire or not. But I'm saying that if somebody says, it is allegory. But it does convey the fact that you have bad intention anyway, and it is not our duty to defend him, which is why I support what Chief Edwin Clark is saying, that let him be at least invited by the authorities to say, what is this about? Let him go and tell them that that's not what I meant, and that you interpreted me badly. But of course, I understand the point that you're trying to make, Shaito. The rascality of the Minister of FCT, former governor of Rivers State, is becoming unbearable. Just way too much. And you can read the political intonation around it. It seems to have the ears and the understanding and the support of the very top. And therefore, the need for him to breathe down on Simfubara and on other governors who are saying that this is the governor of Rivers State. Let him be. You are in the same position for 8 years. So so the whole point is that because he has the support of the federal, his main job seems to be that just go and make sure that they are not together, that they are not united, and PDP is in disarray. That's the script is playing. Yes. But then when you now come because you are being specific about the individuals we are talking about. We know how many state governors of PDP that are there. We know a few of them that are speaking against the intrusion that Wike is constituting in Rivers State. And therefore, when you say that I will set fire on their state, in other words, I will cause disturbance. I will make things difficult for you. It is important that he should be the one to be explaining himself at this point.
100%. Now, I really appreciate that you said that Wike's continuous behavior in this manner is due to the support from the president. And what this is saying and what this is about is political leadership. It is not about actual leadership, his mandate as the minister of the FCT. It's not about Simfumbara's mandate as the governor, the executive governor of Rivers State. It's about political power. It's about political leadership. And this spoiler role that Wike is supposed to be playing in the PDP is showing to me what the president is doing by allowing this embarrassing show of shame, threats of violence, obnoxious behavior. What the president is saying is that the president's own political power is more important to him. For me right now, what the president is showing me that his political power is more important to him than the integrity of this country, that the integrity of the office that he holds, the integrity of the office that Simfubara holds as the elected governor of Rivers State, and the integrity of people's lives. Because I understand what you're saying, but when you say, okay, fire, it doesn't necessarily mean, but it does mean in certain instances we have seen hotels have dynamite thrown into hotels in Rivers State. We reported on that. We've seen even in Rivers State in particular, dynamite seems to be a weapon of choice. We've seen people allege that supporters of one camp or another have used actual dynamite.
It's not what we want to be playing with.
Fire is not what we want to be playing with. And when we are facing insecurity challenges in different regions of the country, for a member of the government to come out and threaten anything that sounds like, seems like to the common man, to the common ear, sounds like you are threatening to incite violence in any single area of this country. The president should absolutely come out against that. You come out. We cannot be begging the president to actually rein Wike back in.
The security authorities first should invite him, whether the president would like it or not. Otherwise, everybody will keep getting embarrassed.
Is it really? Is it worth it?
This plea has gone out. So is there a situation where we're now looking to?
Because it's just a minister. You're not bigger than.
Is it worth it?
You're not even bigger than the governor of Rivers State, for crying out loud. So what's the whole point?
I just want to know that, is it really worth it? Is a re-election really worth it?
But I mean, that's a political discourse.
Let
Fubara focus on the governance of the state, and you focus on FCT.
It's probably all about 2027, which is understandable. But I'm saying that
it's not understandable to me as a private citizen.
You can't be running wild, with this madness.
It is not understandable.
That you now be saying in public. That's where, again, I support, what Edwin Clark said about the fact.
The onus now falls on the Inspector General of Police, because now this plea has gone out. We've spoken about it.
Or the DSS
to actually do something. And I know that you are watching this, so make sure you do something.
Anyway, so why not Wiki?
I imagine protesters saying that we will set fire to.
Might not be invited will be because they think or assume that the president got his back, and it is maybe
and he has
possible.
no immunity.
Definitely not.
Whatsoever he doesn't.
He has no immunity from prosecution.
That's wicked for you. The rascality really must stop.
Rascality continues.
All right, we move on. The highly anticipated petrol production launch from the Dangote refinery has come into effect. What are the upsides for consumers? Our special correspondent, Abi Olawi, was at the unveiling ceremony and shares the following report.
Following a successful testing phase and readiness to introduce its products to the local market, the Dangote refinery is set to roll out its first shipment of premium motor spirit, more commonly known as petrol. This marks the first time in 28 years since PMS production in Nigeria, a historic milestone in the country's oil and gas sector and significant step towards self-sufficiency.
So you are now going to have, good petrol where the engines of your vehicles will last longer. You will not be having an engine issue, which a lot of us were having, it won't happen at all. The quality here will match that of quality of anywhere in the world. US, America, we will make sure that nobody will beat us in terms of quality.
But while availability and quality of a priced product is music to Nigerians' ears, following years of epileptic supply and cases of compromised quality, there is a much more pressing concern.
Of course, there is going to be availability. That's one thing is guaranteed. But the bigger question is around pricing. What modalities are around that?
No, well, on the pricing, I can't say anything because we don't control the pricing. The pricing at the moment is controlled by NNPC, not Dangote. So we will wait for them, to do that. But our own, for now, is to make sure that products are available, and also round tripping is stopped, where people are just taking dollars out, not bringing products, or most of the shenanigans will stop. That is what I can guarantee you.
So we await the NNPC's agreement to this?
Yeah, they are the ones that will, sell to the market and also distribute under the current arrangement for Naira.
But we don't have an indication as to when that will be?
We are ready on our part. We are waiting for NNPC to be ready on their part. Once they are ready, we'll roll. We are ready to roll, even start, loading a ship this week, like what I said earlier, within 48 hours. We're ready.
So the ball is in the NNPC's court?
That's right, yes.
As product distribution is hinged on finalizing modalities with the national oil company, the anticipation for much-needed relief on the part of consumers is instead heightened. In recent weeks, motorists have endured long queues at filling stations and also seen the petrol price leap from 200 naira per litre in May 2023 to about 800 naira per litre in 2024. Crude oil supply and its affordability have been major challenges the Dangote refinery faced in recent times. Given interventions by the Federal Executive Council and the government, Dangote says these concerns have now been allayed.
The president has actually, gave a marching order, and we must really thank him for that leadership of just, saying, okay, fine, let us, and it was taken to the Federal Executive Council. It was approved there. So I believe nobody will dare stop it from happening. And if they do that, the president is also doesn't play. He's a very tough person. He will deal with anybody ruthlessly.
Crude production in Nigeria is stubbornly low owing to oil theft, vandalism, and underinvestment. And while the Dangote refinery has purchased oil cargoes overseas, currency mismatches would render an import-dependent model unsuited to selling petrol locally in Naira. Following recent allegations of producing substandard products, which the refinery has since debunked, Dangote Industries Vice President and other team members shared a tour of its laboratory facility.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for taking your time to come all the way to the refinery. And I'm proud to say that this is the best refinery laboratory in the world. We have compared notes with all the laboratories of the refineries managed by IOCs and other private entrepreneurs. So this is the best laboratory in the world. So Nigeria should be proud to have this laboratory situated in Lagos here in Nigeria, which is the best quality product acceptable in Europe and US. And the other product, which we also already come up with, is the Euro 5 diesel. In fact, people have been asking, probably, in fact, one of the few people called and said, sir, probably your product quality has a problem. I said, why? This looks like water. So I said, no, the country has been used to dirty diesel, and that's why the color was there. This is how an Euro 5 grade diesel should be, and this is what we have launched today, the Euro 5 PMS.
So it's really a landmark. And of course, like you mentioned, this looks exactly like water. Yeah, you could have fooled me, really. But let's talk about the process. So what I'd asked earlier during our conversation that what exactly are you testing for? How much time goes into this? What's the process? And how do we know what specifications we've got in terms of the results?
The global standards clearly specifies for each product, not just one or two, there is a series of products. Characteristics to be checked for. For example, take gasoline. RON number, or the octane number, is one of the critical factors they check for. And the sulfur content today, globally, this has become a big issue. That between Euro 5 and Euro 3, which we were using before, there is a substantial difference in the sulfur content, both in diesel and in gasoline. In fact, if you look at even the CO2 emissions, between Euro 3 and Euro 5, there is about 22% difference in the case of diesel and almost 50% difference in the case of gasoline. So it's very highly environmental friendly because your CO2 emissions comes down.
It is truly impressive to see the amount of detail and investment pumped into the quality control process here. But I realize that I am still left hanging on a pressing question. How soon and at what cost can this all become more sustainably beneficial to the public? While the answer currently hangs in the balance, hope still remains that this new path to self-sufficiency is the silver bullet that will finally relieve Nigeria of the pains inflicted by the great liquid gold. Abby Olawi for Rise News.
We're ready, Dangote says, and Abby asked the right questions. How soon and how beneficial will it be to the generality of the Nigerian people? I think that two things stood out for me in that beautiful report. First is the quality of the fuel and the comparison to water. I hope that it smells like proper petrol. especially for those, who send for fuel in kegs and stuff like that, so that you don't begin to mix, these things up and say, that's water. Go and pour it in the fridge or something like that. But the other more important issue is what Abi raised there. What will be the cost template for this? And I raised that because of what you said about, Dangote being technically in the free zone. Yes, that may be correct.
Yes.
But then when there are interventions from Nigerian government, naira to naira purchase of crude, those interventions are not to add to the fortunes of a billionaire. They are to engender consideration for Nigerians who should be the first line of beneficiaries of this product.
Well, technically, yes.
Not forgetting also that there's a Nigerian stake in all this. But then when questions were posed at Alhaji Dangote, and he says that no, our own is just to supply the product. We don't know anything about the product. NNPC would decide. I found that rather curious, given the fact that NNPC has also now responded to say, no, it is not our job to set the price for you. International oil pricing template would determine how you sell your product.
Yes.
Are they trying to say that Alhaji Dangote is not aware that that's how it should be? Are they both now saying that there won't be any consideration whatsoever for Nigerians who have been looking forward to this? Because if it all comes down to only economics, then people, I hope that it won't amount to an erosion of the sort of support that Nigerians have had for this project all along. Because if it's just about, it's going to be about the international thing, why were you not using that for sugar or for cement? Or for noodles, or for the things that Alhaji Dangote, is. I'm worried about the erosion of confidence and sincerity, and people will be waiting.
Yeah, because it seems that Dangote Refinery and the NNPC are kicking the ball back and forth to each other because no one wants to announce what the news price is. And I agree with that. It's not technically, it's in the free trade zone, which is technically not within the boundaries of Nigeria. Economically, anything from a free trade zone is going to be imported. The crude that was given as part payment for ownership in Dangote Refineries. That the crude swap that was done is essentially a payment for shares. And NNPC has come out to say that they deregulated the sector. They're not regulating the sector, and that they're a private company. So our ownership as Nigerians has also been reduced by the PIA and what NNPC is. Now, what it comes down to is when are we getting this and for how much? And that how much Dangote does not want to, because we have said, the president came out and said we are not paying subsidy. And if the price is not subsidized...
But to say that Fed will decide, NNPC will decide,
because we have said that we know the downstream sector is not truly deregulated. And so in knowing that NNPC has, on their line books, they are subsidizing the price of petrol. Now, if the petrol coming out of Dangote Refinery is not going to be subsidized, that's why he's saying it's their decision. Yeah. But the truth is, we're going to find out the true cost, and the true cost is going to be higher. And another thing about this color thing is that petrol is dyed in different countries for different reasons: taxation reasons, safety reasons, so people know that they can identify it, and it's dyed different colors. Like aviation petrol sometimes is dyed green, there's blue, there's yellow, different colors. So the fact that it's clear doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best, but it does not necessarily mean we can't. It's not by eye.
Euro 5 is this.
Yes, but it's not. It's by the sulfur content and all of that. It's not by the color, but also it's, as you said, the safety is why we dye, so that people don't mistakenly consume the wrong thing. But I mean, we'll see.
Definitely, we'll see. I think all I just want to know is how much is this?
How much?
At the end of the day, how much?
Dangote Refinery is going to come out and say it's 1,100, and all the goodwill evaporates in one day.
It's been an interesting week in this country, but that brings us to the end of the week that was a segment. Now let's take a minute or two to bring you up to date with stories making the rounds. On Friday night, cameras aboard the International Space Station and 2 NASA planes captured a moment of triumph and relief as Boeing's uncrewed Starliner capsule blazed through the night sky, making a successful touchdown at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico. Cheers erupted as the white streak of the capsule marked the end of Boeing's first astronaut mission, a mission that ended with 2 test pilots still in space, left behind until next year due to safety concerns. 6 hours after departing the International Space Station, the Starliner capsule parachuted into the White Sands Missile Range, descending through the desert darkness on autopilot. This quiet landing marked the close of a mission that has been anything but quiet, riddled with thruster failures and helium leaks. It was a mission that kept NASA engineers on edge for months. Veteran astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, who were supposed to return to Earth in mid-June, have now become full-time members of the International Space Station crew after NASA deemed their return on Starliner too risky.
Well, finally, on this segment, President Bola Tinubu on Friday rounded off his official engagements in China, reaffirming his commitment to replicate China's infrastructure when he returns to Nigeria. Addressing members of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization in China and the Nigerian community at the China World Hotel, the president described his visit to the Asian country as very good and successful. He emphasized his efforts to strengthen cooperation in infrastructure, trade, finance, energy, green economy, and mining when he met with President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang during his participation at the 2024 Summit on the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation. The president, however, cited the importance of discipline and commitment to national service, citing China's disciplined society as an example for Nigerians to follow.